Hey, welcome to The Process. My name is Dr. John Bush for the Science of Fantasy Football.com. I am a microbiologist, PhD, teach at a local university. If you've never been here before, you can check it out. I've got a boatload of slides to go over, and I'm covering the first layer of preseason material. I've made my figures here. ADP versus end of season PPR production. I've got some videos that tease some of this data, but this is me going through the slog. With all research based material, it's not necessarily something that you can grasp all the material right away. You may have to go through it. So it's going to test your patience and limits. Are you interested? If you're looking for all the answers, it's probably not here. This is just showing you what I do every year as far as this chapter. I assure you I'm actually working on the next phase of material here, but I have finished these slides. So again, this is not necessarily easy. It's just the way it is. This is what I do. This is how I do it. It is not selected for in the current fantasy football environment. I don't know of any folks that go through this and video it and try to at least take you through some of the thinking. So there are a lot of good data folks out there, but they're not at the top of the game, right? They're out there though, and I urge you to support all the metrics based folks. Unless they know secret I don't, there's no money, fame, or fortune in any of this. I'm a college professor, university professor, I should say, and I like to do this. And this makes me, see, this is a big thing, puts money in my pocket, makes me do it every year thinking, okay, I need to do this, etc., etc. It makes me better at the end of the fantasy football season. The money rolls in, and I'm pretty pleased at this point. This is my PowerPoint here. I'm gonna hit the slide sorter. I wanted you, since it's the first ones, part one of my ADP versus end of season. So right away, it's preseason. What were people thinking, and how did it turn out? So it's kind of before and after, and to me, it's critical. You've got to understand the whole aspects here, or you will not have an advantage in your league. And I'm probably saying that lightly. But anyway, I just want to show you through the material here. Just going to kind of scroll through it. I'm showing you where we're going. So I am hitting the different position. Kind of got a few overall slides and then getting deep on each position. QB, RB, wide receiver, tight end. So we're down to 229 data slides for this material. You're talking hours of me trying to take you through it. So if you think you're just going to kind of ease in here and get a little taste and it somehow change your game, it's just not going to happen. It's a slog. It is a journey, and just consider yourself a pilgrim, and you go on this journey and you get enlightened every year. If this material helps you, great. I hope it does. To keep you a diary, see my lesson on diaries, a lot of my previous lessons, a lot of good stuff in them. But a diary will let you know, hey, did this bush cat help me out? Or, if I didn't, you don't listen to me. Go find somebody else. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you where I'm going. So I'm going to see, I got to move this cue back up here. So can I go normal maybe? Yeah, slide show. Slideshow. Here's slideshow from the beginning. Slideshow. Oh. Okay, so ADP versus end of the season PPR production right here. So let me change thing here. Oh, I guess I guess I'm stuck on the view I can show you. Anyway, overall, here's ADP sector, so that is before. So the first 6, next 6, and so forth in sixes, right? So it's kind of half a draft round. QB, RB, tight end, wide receiver, and this is from 2015 to 2023. So this is a summary, the average at the end of the season points. So this is before the season where these players were being drafted and after the season. So 1 to 6, you can see where the RBs, tight ends, WRs, and quarterbacks were being drafted. We've never had a quarterback go in the first 12 picks that I know of, certainly 2015 forward. So RBs, you can see the pattern, and I've colorized the pattern so you can see logically that the more well thought of running backs go quicker than the ones that are not well thought of, and there is a correlation in the higher points. But what's interesting to me is look at the breakout for just RBs right here at 24. Something really happened here. It's like you kind of in the first 2 rounds, RBs that were going here, there's a little bit of looseness here. What this tells me is it's not perfect, and you have some advantages here, maybe picking some of the better players that are going a little later. But clearly, the 25th, the 30th, and on down, you start dropping from that. I mean, if you looked at tiers, you would see that 25 to 30, 36, 42, probably 48. So the next, 2 rounds, 80 to 160. So you've kind of got this tier with this points here, and then 49th down to about 78th. You've kind of got this group. You have some interesting things happening. It looks like about 79 to 96, it really gets bad. But there's a blip here, folks, at 97 to 108, basically. And then we continue to drop. So historically, there is something, this is about, was it the 9th round? Something is happening in here. So I will warn you now that I'm going to be focused a little more. I really hadn't really paid attention. But this data is suggestive there's things happening in this part. And that's what you use this data to look for. So the good news is, running backs in the top 6, they're probably about who you think they are. But there are some bargains here relative to the draft capital here. And so just don't give up. And but there's clearly, after the 2nd round, you're to the next tier. So the reason I like to understand this is your expectations and what you're looking for. In other words, expecting a ADP 1 to 6 type RB to be in the 5th, 6th, 7th round and pass. In other words, everybody's missing it but you. It's something, most likely you're overinflating something. Unless your diary says different, you should be warned that that's probably not true. Again, using these averages kind of can direct your thinking a little bit, okay, and your expectations. Tight ends. Tight ends are a little bit more variable. And if you look here, the top tight ends, we're having some great tight ends even to the 18th pick, right? And even the 30th pick. So there are it's a lot more looser that. Here's, 190 about to the 54th pick. So it looks to me, there's some exceptions, but there's a lot more opportunities here to grab a later tight end. But to me, it looks like about the 54th pick, 55 and down, you probably shouldn't. If you want a great tight end, it's going to be lean for you to pick. So again, what's your expectations? If your diary says you're able to pick these, great. But this is almost forcing your hand to grab one earlier than later here. So that's kind of an overview. Wide receivers. Wide receivers in the first round are superior to rounds 2 and 3. In fact, you could even say 2, 3, maybe even 4, and part of 5. You're grabbing the same. So it looks like the round 1 wide receivers are who you think they are, but there's a lot more variation. So your idea of catching a sleeper, and whatever that means, we can talk about definitions, but a bargain, you can slide all the way down to the 54th pick, folks. Notice RBs are not that way at all. So if you draft RBs like running backs, like tight ends, you're going to be missing it. This data is to guide you on expectations and what has gone on before. Okay, obviously what you do, your diary supersedes all that. Maybe you could be better than average, right? I mean, you got to beat the average to make some money. Quarterbacks, again, 15 to 23. If you look at all that data, it really meshes. And this idea of a later quarterback concept is shown by this 340, and you're still getting that quality quarterback down to the 72nd pick. After that point, though, after about the 5th or 6th round, folks, I know historically there's been some good ones, but you sure have to pick through a lot of duds to get to those. So I would be really cautious. So this seems to support grabbing one in this range. So it looks like you need to get you a tight end here, 54 up, and a quarterback 72nd up, and an RB. Your RB1 can go down to round 2, but your WR1, this data says you should probably grab one early. So it almost suggests WRRB. Notice WRRB. This historically. And then maybe getting a tight end or a quarterback at that point. And you can wait a little bit and maybe even grab an RB or a WR that will be serviceable even here. So you can use this data, and I'll have the hard side of this data for you guys to look at. But that's why you should stare at this data a little bit. I think it's given us some interesting lessons here. I graphed it if you just wanted to look at the data. Each pink line is a round, so the draft round 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can follow the 15 to 23 trends. Okay, and again, some people are better at catching the trend. Here's where I say this later quarterback has been championed because look at this. You're even getting nice quarterbacks down in here. Was around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about round 6. But boy, 7, 8, 9. I know there's a little blip here. 10. I don't know unless my diary says I'm good enough. There's a lot of bad choices out here to try to find these. So the deck is stacked against you after about this round here, about what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 round. The RBWR and tight end gets a little bit more muddled. So to me, the quarterback is a little more clear. Some of this is not as clear on these trend lines here. So that's why I would go back and actually use the tabular data in the previous figure. But maybe you can use this. I mean, if you take a look at this data here, if this will help you out on picking these different ones. And I'm not sure if I may have to go work this slide up because I forgot what is what here, silly me, on this. But the quarterback, definitely, that data pops out for you there. Another way to look at this data is I converted the best ADP round average over the last, 9 years to 100%, and then rated every other round a percentile of that 100%. So here's quarterbacks, and basically this idea, the 72nd pick, you're in the high 70s and 80s here. Okay, I understand you get a blip here, but boy, a lot of danger after here. RBs, a lot more clarity in the first couple rounds. You're working within the 90th percentile of the first 6 picks here, but boy, after that, you're in the 70th percentile, 50th or 60th percentile. So you can see how the decay of value goes down. Bam. Tight ends, probably by pick 30, you have an opportunity to stay in the 100th and the 90th, but after that, you're starting to get into the 70th pick, and then it gets really lean here. This has almost forced your hand for a better tight end, unless you could stream or somehow make these guys work in here. But this shows you how much effort it's going to take. WRs, on the other hand, here we go. The top 12 are in the round 1. They're golden, folks. Over the years, they are nothing but golden. And then 13th through about the 54th, you're getting probably the same guys overall. And then after about the 54th pick, you're starting to get to the 60th, maybe. And then looks like that starts wearing out about 103. Okay, and I think I plotted this as well. And not sure if I kill this. Can I see it better? Here we go. Yeah, that works. QB is red. I didn't do that. But here's the RB in blue. So RBs are decaying and then hit a little plateau and then to continue to decay. Look at the WRs for the most part here. First batches 100%, and then we drop, and looks like we got into here this round, and then a decay at that point. Tight end is in green, and I didn't do the trend, but you're starting to see some really tricky things later, earlier than later here. So use this data. Some people like these trends, but somebody says, well, what should you be grabbing later, RB or WR? I can say WR. Take a look at the value of the WRs versus the RBs. But there's an area right in here that the decay of the WRs drops below right in here. So 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the 9th, 10th, right in here, there's something happening with RBs that you actually get a little bit of an advantage here. So that might be a sweet spot, just kind of random drafting. But at this point, the idea of grabbing your RBs and then grabbing WRs, I can see how people are saying that, but based on this data, it almost forces your hand to a WR first, then try to collect on these RBs, maybe even 2 of them, then go back. You probably got to work a tight end in there. You might slide a quarterback, but it's like WR, RB, RB, and then a tight end, a quarterback kind of thing happening, and then sneaking back to a WR at this point, and then continuing here. And I looked at the ratio of the value at each sector and compared RBs to WRs. Anything above 1 is advantage RB. Anything heavily below 1 is advantage WRs. So first 6 picks, it's tied. 7th through 8, better to get a WR. But 13th to 18th tied, very skewed to the RBs. 19th to 24th. The RBs right here. Yeah, right here is definitely skewed. So it almost looks like WR, RB, and then this says WRs in here. Pretty much. Look how strong this is. That is extremely strong for WRs at this point. Here's that 9th round RB coming in right in here. Remember I said there's something happening here. Well, here it is. You can see by this ratio here. And if you look, kind of the range of average, so you can actually see anything above the line is RB. So there's an advantage right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. 19th to 24th. And then the first strong advantage for WR is here. And that is, what is that? I guess that's about right here. 49th to 54th. It's a little bit right here at 83. Right there. That's this data plotted right there. Back to an RB. Here's that 9th round RB, WRs. And then late, it's kind of tied, but there is more of a skew to the WRs right here. So again, this is just a map of, if you have no more information, this is kind of how things have gone preseason, postseason here. I'm not sure. And I think I just took that ratio and just did another bar graph And it's another way to point out the RB advantage here, 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 and maybe here. And then the wide receiver advantage here, 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 big time late. And then the blue is tied. That means no advantage or disadvantage. So this colorized, this may be a better way to envision the draft. So while your league mates are swilling beer, just using this data, I think would give you an interesting way to view that you know your league mates are not going to view your draft here by any means. Okay, so that's all I had to say. This is my first video in this book, before and after the season. It's time to look at what the public does before and after. We've got to try to beat the public, i.e. our league mates. We assume they're the public. We got to beat them. Okay, crush them like bugs. Okay, this is Dr. Bush for the process, for the science of fantasy football. I got more videos to come, and we're having lots of fun here. It's mid-February, preseason. I know everybody's asleep or playing baseball or whatever the hell they're playing. I'm fantasy football 24/7, 365. So who you want to listen to, folks that flitter around, or those of us who are trying to focus in on one thing and trying to do it great. So anyway, check out the podcast of me and my partner D Mike. Follow me on Twitter. If you got questions, you can ask. I don't know if I'll answer, but you can ask. But I'm not on Twitter flapping my chops. I lay low. Let all the other pundits, experts do what they got to do. Okay, come back. I'm going to go into quarterbacks now. We're going to get deep into that, a few lessons. Come back. Woo woo. Having fun.